everybody, how are you all this week? I'm okay. Actually, I'm a bit sore. I'm very sore, but I'm okay. I want you to say hello to Rum, and he's all shaky because I've just bathed him in lovely baby fresh and baby linen, I think baby fresh shampoo. Little Rum is a working Cocker Spaniel, and he is a tri-coloured. He is black and tan, and he's got a tiny wee bit of white in his chest. Oh, look at you shaking. It's not cold in here, it's roasting in here. Anyway, welcome to Wendy's Wednesday, and I am the Scottish Quilter. Hello. I see you. He's the best boy for cuddles, I know. And there's nothing quite like puppy breath. Except, well, earlier he had a bit of cow poo and he didn't quite smell as nice then, but he smells better now. So the reason I've got him in here is because if MD's been following along, you will have seen him out running about, and you'd have seen him the day he was born or a couple of days after he was born, and following his progress. And he is now 9 weeks. Now, working cockers, like some other dogs, can carry a gene which causes something called PRA. Now that's what our lady's got. Lady has got PRA, and we didn't know about that until she was 5 and started going blind. So she's now 8 and she's completely blind because of this genetic condition called PRA. And so PRA means progressive retinal atrophy, which basically means the blood vessels behind the retina degenerate and disappear, so she becomes blind. She's since then lost an eye as well because the eye, one of the eyes got glaucoma in it, and she probably will lose the other one. Not that that really matters because she can't see anyway. And she's mapped the house and mapped the farm and knows where she's going. Anyway, luckily, every time Lady had a litter of pups, it was to a genetically clear dog. So cleared for PRA because she will automatically, being affected, pass one of her genes down to all her daughters. So it means that all my girls have got a carrier status and have one gene that is faulty in the fact that they have got the carrier gene for PRA. So I then bought another bitch pup for a different line, and that's Fudge, this is Rum's mum. And when we got her, her mum was completely clear, but we didn't know, well, the breeder didn't know about the father's status. And when we got Fudge, because she was so wee, I waited about 6 months before I did genetic testing. And that was a blood sample. So she was a bit bigger when we did that, and of course this point everybody had fallen in love with her. I had bought her in, and lo and behold, was she not a carrier too? So that shows you that PRA is quite prevalent in cockers as well as other dogs. So when the opportunity came up to breed Fudge with a clear dog, who's Rum's dad, who's called Max, who's also black and tan, and Fudge unfortunately only had one pup, and this is him. So I really liked him and I wanted to keep him because he's a really sturdy, healthy pup, and he's got good teeth. He's also a lovely wee marks. Look at his paw, because my own boy, he's getting a bit older now, and obviously he can't breed with his daughters, so I needed another boy. So I wanted to keep him, and in order to do that we had to check his DNA. And his DNA got done about 3 weeks ago. And we heard a couple of days ago, or at the weekend, that he is, so 272 genes get tested, and one of them has come back as a carrier status, and that's for PRA. So PRA will never affect him, same as it doesn't affect any of my girls, but it does mean that I can't keep him because you cannot, well, people could, I wouldn't, put a PRA positive dog, carrier dog, to a PRA carrier bitch, because you would then run a 25% chance of producing a pup that would go blind in later years. So we need to sell them. And there's been a couple who have been waiting, they're about an hour and a half away, and they've been waiting for ages wanting a cocker cocker puppy from me, and we let them know at the weekend that I couldn't keep Baby Rum, who will probably get his name changed. Anyway, they're coming tonight to see him, so I thought I would show you him now that he's all bathed. He's not going away anywhere tonight. He's just, right, stop that. Now, behave. He's not going away anywhere tonight. Hey, Dad, behave. But they're coming to see him tonight, and I'm pretty sure they would want to take him. Because who wouldn't? Anyway, more dog stories to tell you. Now, stop. Stop. More doggy stories to tell you. So one of them is unbelievable, and the other one is amazing. So you'll all have seen my Mara. Now my Mara is now nearly 6.5, and she's been very much a pet since she was born, really, and very much the favourite since she was born. She's been in the house since she was about 15 months old when she had an accident and she lost an eye, but she can see fine. And she loves me. She loves me like unbelievably. Where I go, Mara goes. And if I can take her with me, wherever I go, like to see my mum in the nursing home or to go and see a friend, if I can take her, I take her. But there are places that I can't take her, so therefore she stays at home. Now for the last 5 years, Mara's been fine being at home with her mum, and no bother at all. But just after Christmas, when we were going down to the Monday Club, Mara was being naughty in the kitchen. Well, on Monday during the day, we put her into a crate during the day in the kitchen as normal, and when Megan came back up the road, she had wrecked the crate and wrecked the kitchen, but nothing that couldn't be tidied up within 10 minutes. Well, Monday night, Neil went up to bed. I went up to bed shortly after him because I'd fallen asleep on the couch for a while, and I put Mara in a crate. And we can both come down together early Tuesday morning, and we walked into this kitchen, and I kid you not, it was like a crime scene, except there was no murders. And there was no blood, fortunately, because Mara and her blind mum Lady and my dad's dog Lottie were all sleeping in the kitchen overnight in the big bed. Well, Mara wasn't, because she was wrecking the kitchen. So she's been in every unit. She's been scratching at windows. She's burst a bag of icing sugar, so there was paw prints everywhere. She's knocked over a crystal vase that was about 80 years old. 2 or 3 other things, and she caused lots of damage. So I spent all day yesterday tidying it up, and all day today tidying it up. Now here is somebody here to see me Rum, so I'll get back to you shortly. Hey, I'm back. So Rum's new family have been to see him, and needless to say, they have completely fallen in love with him. He's such a lovely pup. And anyway, it was really nice having him in here for a wee while and getting lots of cuddles and dried all off and all fluffy. And then his mum came in, wee Fudgy, so she was playing away and delighted to be in and smiling at everybody as she does. Wonder if you'll smile. Anyway, he's going at the weekend, and one thing I always say about puppies is puppies go to who they're meant to go to. My puppies go to who they're meant to go to. And obviously he's meant to go and make this family happy. And he's not the one that was meant to be kept. So that's just the way it is. I'll miss him, but I'm sure I'll hear about him. And I know where he's going to be, and I know that he's going to be okay. And I know that he's going to be very much loved and spoiled. So anyway, that's the story about Rum. But I'll try and get another wee picture of her or something of him before he goes at the weekend. Anyway, Mara. So this was yesterday's destruction, and Mara destroyed the kitchen, and things were broken, things were turned upside down. It took me all day yesterday. Neil had helped me for a while, but he had to go out to work to get everything tidied up, everything cleaned, every shelf cleaned, everything could go through the dishwasher and hand wash too. Anyway, so be it. It's happened. So Mara's no longer allowed to sleep in the kitchen. But anyway, he hasn't said this to me. but he said to Megan yesterday morning, no, it must have been last night, he said to Megan, he said maybe we'll let Mara sleep in the kitchen every month because I've never seen the kitchen as clean. How cheeky is he? Anyway, the kitchen is very clean. Every shelf, every surface, every window, it's all very clean. But Mara's fine. There's nothing wrong with her. I think the biggest problem with Mara was that she was separated from me. She's not in pain. She's healthy. She's very spoiled. She's never done this before, apart from a couple of times in the last couple of months. Really only since January. So the only thing I can put it down to is she's totally neurotic when I'm not about. And I do try and take her places with me during the day, but anyway, it's overnight as it's happened now. So no more in the kitchen for Mara. Here's a thread in my boob. There's always something in my boob, it's usually food. Anyway, thread's off. Oh, so the other dog thing I have to tell you is our Luke. So Luke is a border collie. His father lives in Belgium. His mother lives in Germany, and he was bred in Germany by a vet friend that we know well, and he came over to us as a pup because Neil got him as a pup. But he is off of Neil's breeding, so Neil had his grandfather and did have his father for a wee while too. Anyway, Luke is 3 and he's quite a good dog. Well, he's been turning heads, let's say that. Worldwide, he's been turning heads. So Neil got all his genetics done last year and he is genetically clear for everything. Everything. 273 genes was done in the collie package and he's clear for absolutely everyone. Which means that he can mate with any bitch at all. Carrier bitches or whatever, he can mate with them. So that's really good news. But there was a vet lady bringing her bitch up to him 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she had asked Neil if he would consider hip scoring them. Now, when you hip score a dog, it's usually about a year old that you hip score them, and the older the dog, the worse condition their hips are going to be in, especially a dog that's pretty well worked hard, and he is a working border collie, although he is a trial dog as well. So Luke's now 3, and so Neil thought about it and decided yes, he would get his hip score done, and he got his hip scoring done, and it was scored today by the British Veterinary Association. Now, the lower the figure, the better. So ideally you want his hips to be under 10 and his elbows to be under 10. Well, the result is it's 0. Luke's hips are 0, 0 and his elbows are 0, 0. Now, how amazing is that? Very amazing. So that's really good news. So 1 out of 3 dogs have brought very good news. Well, it's good news that Baby Rum's got a lovely home to go to too, because he can't stay with me. Anyway, that's the dog stories. What other story have I to tell you? One of my friends popped in to see me today, which was lovely. And, you know, her name's Doreen, and she's really nice. She often comes on a Wednesday, and she always comes peering through the door to make sure I'm not recording on a Wednesday. And anyway, she came in for a coffee and a couple of wee very nice biscuits. There's that phone line beeping, and believe it or not, I did have that on silent, so we'll put it back in silent. Anyway, Doreen came to see me, and we were talking about young Elliot that is in for his surgery today. And I was just talking about that and talking about how I'd been working on his quilt and a wee quilt for his sister and his pillowcase and all that over the weekend. And you know, Doreen said to me, we are very lucky, and we are very lucky, because you think to yourself, there's always somebody worse off than yourself. And I know what it's like to enter into a big surgery, and I've had 3 spinal surgeries to date. I'm just trying to avoid a 4th one. But the thought of a young boy going in for a major surgery, which in the end up took them 5 hours today to do his surgery. Now, thankfully, he has come through that really well, very successful surgery, and he's been an absolute trooper and he's doing fine, which is great news, absolutely great news. but as Doreen was pointing out, there's always somebody worse off than yourself. So yeah, it gives you some food for thought, doesn't it? It does make you think. And yeah, that was all really. So in this video, I have been working on Elliot's quilt over the weekend, so I've done a few clips of it. I did, Neil took a video of me outside on Sunday maybe, but it started raining and didn't look very good, so Megan did one on Monday morning, but it was pouring with rain and we did it in here. Anyway, you'll see them as they progress through this video, and you'll see how I got on with them. And at the very end, in the outro, I will show you a picture of Elliot with his wee sister that his dad took and gave me permission to put on social media. So I'll show you that. So in the meantime, I have also been working on my Songbird wall hanging. I've got them all wadded up. That is the smallest one. And this fabric, when I first saw this, I've also started hand quilting this one, so if you maybe see it in the back. This backing fabric, you can see a wee bit on here. I've still got round the heart to do. And did I do round the lady? No, I did it in another one. Oh no, I started doing it round the wee fairy. Like you can see around her wings, I've started doing some sewing. So I'm just going to take my time and do them. But the backing fabric, yeah, there's another thread, just to even me up. The backing fabric, this was one fabric in the pack that I wasn't that keen on. And actually, see when I put it on the back of all of these, that's a different colour, I do really like it. And a different colour again. So they've all got the same fabric on them, but all got different colours. Now, these are going to go in the wall once I get them all quilted. They're all different sizes, and I'll just keep them 2 columns in each one. But I just think they're so lovely and so ideal for springtime. Anyway, that's progress on that one. The other progress I've got to show you is this one, which at craft last night I was trying to do a bit of hand sewing on it. Hand quilting, get the words right, Wendy. So I have done a bit where I've just gone round the hearts, as you can see, using the same cream thread. I can barely see it. Can you actually see it in the camera? Yeah, you can. So I've tried to keep my stitches the same-ish, but I'm figuring that there's actually one side of the heart here which is really good and looks as though I have been doing this for a long time. Look at those stitches. They're quite consistent, aren't they? And then you see ones up the top that are not quite as consistent. But I figure, like everything else, if you're going to do something, you need to do it well. And the only way you're going to be able to do it well is if you practice it. And like everything else, experience makes you so much more better at things. So I am going to give this lots of experience over the coming weeks. And I'll try and get it, now that the pressure's off Elliot's quilt, I'll try and focus on them. But I've something else to show you, because remember I got the Tula pink Grayworks set. Well, I have now ironed them all. I'll put this down a bit for you to see what I'm doing. So I've now pressed all these fat quarters out, and I had put on it a 5.5 inch. So basically what I want to do is make a quilt on point. So the 5.5 inch isn't going to work. So I thought, will I do the 6.5 inch? So yes, it would work if I was, see, it wouldn't, you would only get limited amount of wolves out of this. So if I did it 6.5 inches on point, yes, that would work too. I think it's hard to see here. And I think that's probably the biggest I want to go to. The next one up's a 7.5 inch. And that's far too big. But the trouble is, if I do them 6.5 inches, it means I have to do all of the squares that I'm going to do on point 6.5 inches, which is nice, but it only means I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 there. I'm going to really only get 3 per panel. And then will it work on here? yes, it'll work in the leopard as well. But I do desperately want to do an on-point quilt. So I need to get as many 6.5 inch blocks out of this as I can. And I think what I'll do is actually cut them out first. So you've got much more, this bit of the bears, this bear is underneath it. But if I go down any further, I'm going to lose the bears there. So they're going to be limited. But then you can do whatever you want here. I do love rainbows. And I do love stripes. Again, this one's lovely. But I think if I can get, and the puffins, will I get a puffin? Just, so I'll still get that for 6.5 inches. Yeah. So I think that's what I need to go. But I've been looking at Donna Jordan Fabrics videos and looking at ones on point. And there's a couple that I've seen that I like a bit. But there's nothing that I've seen that I absolutely like loads. So, wait to try and put this up without wrecking it all. So the jury's out, but I think if I cut the blocks out that I want to fussy cut and have them there and then count them and count all the blocks I've got, then I can maybe work out which quilt I want to make. And I will have, because I'm only going to get a certain amount of blocks out each fat quarter, I'm going to have fabric left over. So I might just make something up myself. Anyway, watch this place. It is actually, I'm lying awake at night thinking about this and what kind of quilt I can make. And having another look at Donna Jordan's quilts in the past and seeing if there's anything that catches my eye. So, I still haven't decided. If anybody can come up with a really good idea, please do so. Anyway, the important stuff. So Elliot has been to Glasgow today and he has had a 5-hour surgery. He's come through it very well, and the following clips are going to show you the progress over the last few days. I finished his quilt on Saturday and his sister's on Sunday, and it will show you how I got on with that, a bit about the binding and a bit about the quilting, and just what I was doing over the weekend. So I have been really busy for the last week, although I didn't really get time today or yesterday to do much sewing as I had planned. Talk of the devil, I don't even know where she is. Mara? Mara? Is she here? I thought she'd come in here. Mara, Mara. Mara, Mara. My wee Italian Mara. Mara, Mara, come, come, come. Come, come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, here she is. The girl of the moment that wrecked my kitchen. Who would ever think she would wreck my kitchen? And her mum's lying in the living room, but of course Mara's not so far away. Anyway, enjoy the footage of Elliot's quilt, and remember and stay to the very end, please, and see him getting his quilt and how happy he was and how happy his wee sister was, because that's what's important, is how happy he is. And the fact he's got something to look forward to. So that will just be about the quilt. So I will end this bit here, and then Lexi can get everything all edited and uploaded tonight. I think I'll probably end up going over half an hour again. I'm sorry, it's just because I yap all the time. Maybe we'll cut it down one day. Maybe it is interesting, I don't know. But for those of you who are interested, please give me a thumbs up and like with my bendy thumbs. And if you know of anybody who would like to subscribe to the channel, please do so. If anybody's got any ideas for an on-point quilt, please tell me. Something that's different, something that's, I don't know, just different that would suit that material. Okay, enjoy watching. Love you all, bye. See you next week. And there's Mara off. Bye bye. Right, I'm leaving enough for the other side when I get back round. This is a 3-inch binding, I just thought because of the stars, I thought you've got more chance in seeing the stars if I do it 3 inches instead of 2.5. Oh, it's a star. So it was turned inside out there. So I'm just going to start and then do a couple of back stitches just because there's going to be added pressure on there. And I'm going to go all the way around, straight stitch in a straight line, tweaking it here and there just to keep it nice and straight and holding it well back with my right hand. Stop, adjust, and start again. And then we're slowing down as we're coming up to the corner because we want a nice mitered corner here. I'm just eyeballing that, leaving the needle down, turning a 90-degree angle and straight off the end and cut off. I'm going to turn it round here, and to get the angle we want I'm just sitting it flat. You can see, can you see? You should be able to see where I come off there. Sitting it flat, putting it at a 90-degree angle there, and then back down nice and flat. So that is square down. So what you don't want to do, and you can see it's square at the top, right at the top it's all square. So what you don't want is to do a mitered corner, or you think you're doing a mitered corner and have that not even and straight. So just do it again, back up, back down nice and straight. Straighten up your quilt so that it's turned round. Double check there. I'm taking a couple of stitches and then going back a few. Straight line again. And sometimes it gets a bit stuck in the corner. So what I do is use a wee stiletto that I've got here. You see that? It's very pointy. But I just use that to grip a hold of the material and pull it forward as I'm start it sewing, and that way it usually catches the corner. Now I'm further enough down, I think. No, I'll just go a wee bit more and then I'll show you that corner I've just done. And there's another thing, when I was joining this binding, I did it at an angle. So I had my top piece of unopened fabric like this, in this direction, and then I brought up my second piece of fabric, my binding fabric, and I was bringing it up so that I had it in that direction. So therefore, every time I came to the end of a width of fabric, because I've got 5 pieces here, I always made sure I had a straight line starting at the top left and going down to the bottom right, and my angle was always this way. And that way, when you have finished your binding, you can see that your angle is always in the right direction. And I just used scissors and cut off, it's probably about 1/2 inch there, and ironed it flat, folded it over, and it is 3 inch. There's a tiny wee bit of fabric there. I'll just get rid of that. Here's another one, and it just means you've got, when these bits of binding join, you don't have a huge piece of bulk all the way around if it was in a straight line. What you've got here is a diagonal at this side, and then underneath is a diagonal at that side. So it makes for a stronger binding, and it also makes for a binding that is not too bulky where it joins, if that makes sense. And we'll just carry on, and we'll come back when we get to the end. Right, I'm now on my last corner, so I'm just going to show you, if I go right to this edge, oh, my foot's disappeared. I've got my wee stiletto here, and if I go right to the edge and I just put that on there, just in case this sticks, I'm just pushing that through, and it should, and I've got it in at the back, and I've just got a grip of the fabric, and I'm just pulling it through. Now we're on the very last side here, so I'm just going to do a wee tiny bit more, which is going to give me room, and we're going back a bit, a few backward steps, and cut off. Now I usually do a 2.5 inch binding. This is the first time I've done a 3 inch binding. Where are my big scissors? They're over here. Just stretch over and get. And now I know that this is going to be too long, so I'm just cutting a bit off out the road. But normally I keep this in the top of my sewing machine, and this is a 2.5 piece of fabric that I've obviously taken off a cave binding when I think I actually did it the wall hanging that's up in the kitchen just now. Anyway, what I would normally do would be to open that up, and because it's a different fabric, you can see it a mile away, sit it on here, and then measure over. You know that that's a exact 2.5 inches. So when you've got your piece of fabric there and you've got it right here, you know that you can cut this off here, and you've got exactly 2.5 inches of an overlap of the two fabrics, and put them together, two ends, and put them together. But because this is a 3 inch binding, I'm going to have to take a bit off here. Now I'm leaving myself lots of overhang here, so I'm just going to cut that there. And as per, I seem to have extra binding. Usual, that's why I've got a basket full of them. So I'm just going to do a measurement here to tell me what 3 inches is. So I've got 3 inches, in fact I'm going that way. So I've got 3 inches there, and I'm going to cut this off right on the 3 inch mark. Except this time I'm not going to cut all the way through. I am just going to cut halfway, so that I know the skinny bit of fabric is going to give me 3 inches in length, and I know that if I put that on the top, this can go to my basket. Or I actually thought about making a wee something else for Elliot for going into the hospital, which will come in handy for. So back to the present day. Right, I'll turn that upside down so that you can see it better. So we've got our overlap of the two ends here and here. Now we still need to give ourselves room to be able to get these together under the needle. So I think I'm going to cut off from the top one, so my quilt is flat out, it's not stretched, it's just flat. And I'll do this slightly so that you can see where we are. Now if you look back, here's the end of this end, and I am going to put this right on there, and it's sticking out, so that we know that once it gets to here, that's exactly 3 inches. So if I just turn that round and just cut it at 3 inch mark, you know you've got 3 inches from there to there. Wait a minute, that's not cut straight. That's it, cut straight. Now that should be, if I overlap there, we should have, go back to the ruler and set that there, and we've got 1, 2, 3 inches. There's like one tiny wee bar over. A smidgen, just because I've cut it uneven. There, that's what I was out. So good bit to hang on to. I'll just put that back in the top of my machine. Keep it safe along with the 2.5 one, and then I'll remember what it is. So you'll also notice that I have sewn this binding on the back, and I am going to fold this here, bring this up a bit, and a wee trick I got was to use a quilting clip and just keep that there so that you're not stretching that fabric all the time. And the quilt, and if I can open this up, what we're doing here is we're putting the same angle as before all the way around with your binding, and I am going to pin this together if I can find my pins. Oh, one of these days I'll get back into my sewing room and this kitchen table will be tidied up. It does all go away when people are coming, and then it gradually more and more comes back out again. So I'm just going to make sure that this is even. And now that I've got my nails newly done, I can't pick anything up. So I've got a pin in there to hold it. And if I can find a pen, which guess what, is out of my reach again. Right, hold on a second. You nearly get my boobs in the picture there. I'll go around behind the camera and not straight into it. Okay, so I have a pen here, and I'm just going to, I usually just eyeball this as well, but you can't always be guaranteed to get it perfect if you eyeball it. And if I'm going to show you what I'm doing, if you're going to do something, you better do it right, because there's no point in doing it not right. Oh, where's it? My third hand when you need one. Imagine if you did have 3 hands. I wonder where the other one would come. Would you just have 2 arms on one side and one on the other? It certainly would come in handy lots of times. And talking about hands, my right hand and arm, right, this is getting harder and harder. I'm trying to keep, if I pull the weight of this onto my knee for a start. I should probably had a long thin ruler. Right, that's better. It's not pulling off the table anymore. Okay, so we're here and we're here. I'll just triple check again as I pull it apart again. Really, I should probably have put in 2 needles, but oh. Don't pull. Did I put that up again? I know exactly where it is. Right. Pen or chalk marker, whatever you want, it's never going to be seen there. But you can see that. So back into the machine again. And we're just doing one straight line. Nice and slowly. Pin out and just double check that's correct, which it is. Clip out, and then scissors, where are they gone? Now you could go back to the iron and press all this open again, but I'll just try and do it as we go along, pressing it open. Now this should fit fine, it does. Trust your judgment. So I've just finger pressed this open. Again, makes the bulk less. It's obviously been slightly out because there's another fraction. See? Nothing's perfect, but it's still right. And then we're going in here, and I'm just going back beyond the stitches, which I did. Straight line, holding it back here, because you've got no pulling, just gently but firmly hold your fabric and your binding as it's going through. And we're joining up there. Again, a couple of stitches back before we cut off. Now, hey Lady Lou, hello baby, are you okay? I know what she's wanting because it must be starting in the afternoon now. Let's go back to that first corner I did to show you that mitered corner because I forgot to do it. So I'm just going to, it's okay, right, right, go and sit down there now, sit down there now, good girl. I'm just going to cut a wee tiny bit of bulk off that corner and flip this round, and you'll see, you also see if you put, here's another trick, when I flip this round here, when I'm putting it over the back, if I put, or onto the front actually, if I put this in the same way as this, then your binding is going that way there, and it's also going that way there. Therefore, it creates more bulk. So when you're flipping it over, if you flip it over and do that side first, and which is your top side first, and then the second side second, this means that your line is going from top to the left in that side, and it's going from top to the right or towards you from this side, the way I've got the angle pointing. So that makes it less bulky in the corner. And there's my mitered corner from the first one, except that's opened back up again. Is it easier if I show you that way? So mitered corner, and now I'm going to flip all this over back to the front, just turn it over, and I'm going to use, there's a bit of thread, I'm just going to use quilting strips all the way around. Again, with the other corners I'll cut off the bulk. Now, it's not actually too much here. It actually creates quite a nice binding, and you can see the stars, which was the aim. I'll just put these quilting clips all the way around. I think they're called something else, but they're quilting clips to me. So that's there. Once I get set up which pattern I'm going to put in the front and the clips are most of the way around, I will show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, I'll come back. Okay, all the quilting clips are on, and I have changed my foot to an open foot as far as the needle can move about, and I'm going to start just past this corner and put my needle down and then put my foot down. Now, I usually do, if I'm going to put the binding on this way, on the back first and then onto the front, I usually use hearts or something decorative, but I've just got a wave stitch. I've put my stitch length up to 2.5, and the wave is at 5.5. It was bigger, but I've brought it down a bit. Okay, I've also tried it on a wee bit of the material to see how it looks, and it looks absolutely fine. And with the big wider border, I think this will go fine, which it is. I'll just take, here's my bowl, these clips off as I'm going, and hopefully this won't pull against the camera. You can see what I'm doing. Straight line. Now this is far quicker than I could hand sew on the back. It leaves a decoration in the front, and I know that a straight line never always looks entirely neat, does it? But if you do a decorative stitch, and in this case have it in the middle of the binding so that it's going near the edge and it's in the middle at the same time, you're probably going to have a better hold. Just make sure I don't see these stitches. slowly does it all the way around, and I'll come back when I am finished. So in this quilt I've marked it out with masking tape and straight lines with my long ruler, and I've just decided to do a curve stitch all the way along. For quilting it's something different and better than spaghetti, I think. I've gone down one side and then I'm coming back up the other side, obviously doing these in a different direction so that it's evenly spaced out. This was another single quilt, and it's just a wee Olaf, just a kind of wee lap cover for Elliot's wee sister Reva, so that she's got something too. And I do like this quilting in it. I think you can see it from there. And then I just rip off the masking tape and job's done. How satisfying is this, pulling this masking tape off? And then we have a really nice pattern, wave pattern. Now the masking tape's a bit more sticky than I thought it was. There. How good does that look? Olaf. I'm sure she'll love it. Well, that's Elliot's quilt already, and it's probably a good size for him to take into the hospital if he needs it. So he loves superheroes, and this was a single bed cover, Captain America on the back, and all the superheroes in the front. I won't try and name them because I've no idea. I also bought a superpower badge, so I've ironed this on and then I've sewn round about it. Elliot's going into hospital on Tuesday to have surgery on Wednesday, a big surgery on his legs. So he is obviously going to be a very strong and brave boy, but we've put this on here so that if he needs extra strength or extra bravery, he just presses the magic button and he'll get that. Now, after I had done this, there wasn't any faces or bodies left on the material that was left, but what I did have was legs. Now, Elliot's operation is going to be in both his legs, one more so than the other. So the Hulk's leg is here, and I've made it into a wee placemat with him because this shows you a really strong and muscly leg, which Elliot's legs will be once his operation's by and he's gathered up strength. And here's also one, just make sure it's the right way up. I think that's Captain America's legs. So this is to remind him how strong his legs are going to be, and it's a visual picture in front of him every day. He has something to eat to remind him that his legs are going to get really strong again and how important this operation is. So he's not 10 yet, but he's also got a wee sister who is 3, and she loves princesses and Frozen, and I had just quickly made a wee cover up for her with Olaf, who's upside down. There is 2 princesses in this, or 2 looks like princesses, but anyway, I'll get to them when I get a chance. But right now she's got Olaf, and it is all the Frozen and the snowflakes in the back, and Pinky for a wee girl, so hopefully she'll like that. She's got that, and she's got a wee pillow, and Elliot's got a huge big pillow to take with him, but well, he'll not take that to the hospital, but he'll have it at home. So I hope they like it. The next picture you'll see is hopefully Elliot's wee smiling face to say that he's happy with his cover.